Keith Martin.
yet?
No.
What?
I said I was hanging out with drunk Keith Martin.
You hanging out with drunk Keith, huh?
I did.
Where?
He's fun.
He's
Today?
in town, dog.
Oh.
All right. Well, Tim, we just went live, so don't talk too crazy.
Oh, shit, bye.
Seriously, he hung up.
He did.
All right, welcome to the Practical Booster Show. My name's Ben. We're here to answer your shitty questions. On deck today, Tim? Like, I'm trying to think. You're kind of happy, Tim, lately, so that's good.
You're going to love the new nickname they gave me, Tim.
Uh-oh. Give it to me.
Backdoor Matt.
No, if I fundamentally change the sport the way I want here, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, everybody will be carrying around their pistol caliber carbine and exiting it out the back of the stage.
Hey, dude.
What's this nickname? I gotta know this nickname now.
Because you don't go read through the stage in a walkthrough. You go out and around, so you don't get in people's way.
I do?
Groundbreaking.
No, everybody needs to go out and around.
It's
Right.
groundbreaking stuff, Matt.
And it's going to happen. Like, you know how every match has free water now? You're welcome. This is going to be the change that I'm going for this year, Tim. Fundamental change of the sport here.
Well, why don't you set your mind to something useful?
Because this is all I care about right now.
Oh, my God.
I mean, we got Carry Optics. We're going to have PCC here soon.
I got Foley in. You're welcome.
Yeah. I gave you that idea, but whatever. Or I told him he should be on the show.
It's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to take an idea, run with it, and make it a reality. So you are welcome, Matt.
All right, whatever.
Hey, I get to be on the show from time to time.
I want you more. I like you, Tim.
Well, thanks.
I think
He
you're
wants to be on
underrated.
with Gabe.
You're
We have to
underrated
get him-
as a panel member, I feel, Tim.
We
Strongly.
have to get him and Gabe together one time.
No, it's just like every email I get is like shitting on Tim Herron. I'm tired of it.
Shitting on me? How are they shitting on me?
I just made that up. I've never actually gotten a complaint about you.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I would like to do a podcast sometime with Gabe. He's like the only guy I haven't got to do a podcast, like, on the same podcast with. He's, like, super intelligent, and, like, a lot of the stuff he talks about, like, is super interesting to me. He's got
He
a
was
good
talking about an ankle holster for his tourniquet in his most recent appearance, so
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
that's pretty good stuff. Okay. Here's our question for today. Many have different views on what is the most efficient way to shoot a stage for the best economy of motion. For example, shooting out of position for fluid movement to the next position. Could you guys talk about the best ways to save time on some of the common arrays? I know it's not always an absolute, and I realize this is a broad question. Don't shit on me.
He said that?
Well,
yeah, he did.
He did say that.
You did say that. Hopkins.
I
What do you
think
think about this?
I think there's some key things like don't ever cover the same ground twice. That's a pretty big one, I think, unless it's like
What if you have to?
if the stage demands it. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna have to.
we can't completely speak in absolutes because there's always going to be
Yeah, there's always going to be
things
something.
to challenge that rule.
So we'll say this is 90% of the time on all these that I'm saying at least,
Okay.
and then always be working towards the end of the stage. You're always going to probably end it somewhere downrange or however it works out, or like the leftmost or rightmost. Always be working towards that spot.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, but why is that a good thing? So, like, let's say the stage has 5 spots you need to go to.
Yeah.
All right. As long as you don't cover the same ground a bunch, what does it really matter what order you go to the spots?
Doesn't really. Well, if you don't cover the ground like a bunch, you're gonna work them in order.
Okay, so what does it matter?
You just described what I said.
Yeah, but why does it matter?
Because there's a time factor in this sport.
I guess.
The clock, the timer.
He's looking for positioning stuff.
I don't know. I figured Tim would answer that, and then we'd like go back and
All right.
forth.
Yeah, Tim, answer it.
As far as positioning things?
Well, that's what he's looking for. How to save time.
Well, I mean,
in common arrays.
I think you set up in positions. If it's not your end goal position to be in, you set up to be able to move out of that, to exit that position better. Like, you wouldn't just want to set up in a position. You got to think about, like, okay, if you come to, you're going from, let's say, point A to point B, but there is a point C to go to. You wouldn't just immediately post up perfectly fine for point B and then totally forget or shit on the fact that you've got to leave point B to get to point C. So you want to set up your point B position to better. You're looking at me like I'm.
No, I'm not looking at you. I'm just having a fucking.
You're trying to. Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But you've got to be able to set up each position with not only just an entry in mind, but an entry and an exit, and to and kind of the same thing that Matt talked about as far as you want to be able to shoot a stage with the end in mind. So,
okay. How about I address this question head on? I think this guy's asking you for something that he doesn't really know what he's asking for.
We don't either, obviously.
No. You do. You do. Based on reading the question, like, for example, backing out, what's the most efficient ways? Shooting out of a position for fluid movement to the next position. That's his for instance. So he wants more stuff like that. He's asking for this. He's asking to know how to do something, but he's not quite sure what it is he wants to know how to do. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of that's going to be.
He's asking for the secrets to better movement on stages.
Don't stop moving.
Staying low. Don't get low to explode out of a position and then come to a position low and then stand up straight to actually do your shooting. And then, yeah, I mean, there's things like that. Keeping the gun up, keeping it ready to go.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think about like this. So if we have some hypothetical position on a stage, where let's say it's the leftmost part of the stage, that you're going to have to go into that spot and you're going to have to get out of it. That's just the way the stage is set up. You're going to go in and you're going to get out. Some guys would go in there, like go into the position really deep and shoot while they back out of it. And be like, this is the best. I'm backing up while I'm shooting. It's amazing. It's so fucking awesome. Some other guys would go in there, get the gun up early, shoot on the way into the position. Like, check it out. I'm shooting earlier. I'm shooting on the way in, and then boom, I explode out of the position. It's so fucking awesome. It's amazing. Looks so good on YouTube.
Yeah.
And which one is best? I don't know.
Them both. Combining them both would be the best.
You can't combine them both. It's one or the other.
Well,
right? Either you shoot on the way in and leave, or you go all the way in and shoot on the way out.
Couldn't you do both, though?
I don't.
You could start shooting on the way in and get to the point where you can see the final target and start backing out on it, right?
Well, let's say it's like in deep. Like, you know what I mean? It's forcing you in deep to that position. So as soon as you leave that position, you can't see it anymore. So you can't really back out on it.
All right, yeah.
Okay? You visualize what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I see it now.
So, like, by my reckoning, you're shooting while you move in, or you're shooting while you move out.
Okay.
We're going to shoot the same targets on the move, sort of the same kind of thing. So which one's better? Neither. Essentially, execution is king, yes?
Correct.
And we could go kind of approach a lot of different scenarios or arrays, and you'd be like, well, what's the best way to shoot this position? And it's like for anything we could come up with, any scenario you come up with, there'd be more than one way to do it.
Right. There's always going to be variables. I mean, what's
right.
the target arrays look like?
Lots of different ways
to do it. Right.
And does it really matter? Like, I don't know. You know, you could shoot it 10 times each way.
I say that's been one of those things you've demonstrated in a lot of your classes too, is shooting it what your most efficient way is, or the way you would plan a stage, and then shooting it the most absolutely ass backwards, weirdest, wacky way you possibly can, and then at the end of at the end of the demonstration and being able to compare apples to apples, it's pretty much a wash, right?
Yeah.
Because
Usually,
it's always based
it's
on execution.
It's a lot closer than you'd think.
Right.
In the land of shooting skills, execution is king.
Right.
So, I mean, I get where he's coming from, but my feeling on this, I don't usually go at the person asking the question, but you're asking for something. He's like, come on, man, give me some tips on how to be faster on some arrays. And it's like, you don't know what the fuck you're asking for, and I don't know what you're asking for. I can tell.
You can't say like there's some best practices for.
Yeah, there's best practice. Be ready to shoot soon.
Right.
Right? That means gun up early at a minimum, usually aiming. Aiming at the first target you want to shoot.
And be ready to leave the second you're done shooting.
Right, so that's like a positioning thing. So don't set yourself up in some awkward-ass position. Set yourself up so you can get out. Don't get into a position and end up all cockeyed and off balance, where you can't push to the next position.
God, you made that sound so much simpler than my position A, B, and C.
Yeah, you're talking fucking crazy. I'm like, what are you talking about? So there's an A position and a D position, and when you get to B position, you're thinking about C position. Which position? I'm going to D position first. I don't know. I'm right-handed.
I'm talking about from the standpoint of just knowing that you've got to go someplace else when you get to a position.
Right,
so,
but
yeah,
these are general things. How do you save time on common arrays? Like, I don't know. Move if you can move. If not, set up and blast that shit. It's pretty simple. And for every scenario, like let's say the example I gave was you move into the spot and you can shoot on the way in or shoot on the way out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I would say from a training perspective, you got to learn how to do both. Right, because there might be a scenario where one is objectively better than the other. So let's say you're finishing, the stage ends on that position. So there's no opportunity to back out because you're going to go in there and you're going to stop. Well, then you have to know how to shoot on the way in if you want to save time. If you want to, maybe the stage starts all the way in that position. So your only opportunity to move is to back out, right? You got to know how to do both.
Right.
Right.
I think we could talk about some real easy ones, like you want to shoot, like if there's a stack of targets, one on top of the other, you know, like this, one on top of the other. You want to shoot the bottom one first.
For the audio rip listeners, Hopkins just held up his middle finger to the camera.
Yeah, one target on top of the other, like one target segment. You obviously want to shoot the bottom one first and then the top one.
Okay.
I think he's kind of asking for stuff like that. But,
I think he's smart enough to figure that stuff out.
Yeah, but this is the point of the question to like say it though, right?
I guess. I mean,
Tim, you got anything like that? Ben doesn't want to answer those questions.
Maybe I'm in a bad mood. I don't know. I don't know how to answer it.
And Matt, this goes to something.
It's stuff we've like as in our skill level we have like glossed over at this point.
Right.
No.
Really? You always shoot the top target first?
No, I typically shoot the bottom one first. But to say I always shoot I shoot the bottom one first typically because
but again,
it does not obscure my view of the top one.
Right. We can't necessarily speak in absolutes. We've already.
Yeah, but we can't gloss over that stuff either, though. It's pretty common to us, but someone else might not have heard it yet, you know?
Like I would say, like reloads. You would never want to do reloads working away from a target. You'd always want to reload into the next array, like leading your reloads into the next array of targets.
What do you mean?
Like if you had a set of targets on the left and a set of targets on the right, and let's say, okay, for me, I'm a left-handed shooter. If I had to shoot the targets on the left, I wouldn't shoot from the one to the rightmost of the left target and shoot out, and then have to reload with a longer transition or a wider transition to the next array. I would shoot going towards the next array to then make my reload end where I'm ready to begin shooting on the next array, on the array to the right.
Really? What if there was an activator sequence in play forcing you to do that?
That's different, though.
God damn it!
That's what I'm saying.
You're right. I know you can't. We can't
about-
speak in absolutes, but we gotta at least have to somewhat speak in generalities.
Like,
I mean,
gross.
nothing is a hard pressed rule, right? We have established this. But there are certain things that we do know just based on what we've all trained and what we've all learned from the training to know this is a little bit more efficient way of doing this than something else. There's always going to be a what if. I mean,
always,
do you,
yes.
do you shoot a Texas Star from the bottom?
Not if I can help it.
Exactly.
But
Okay.
I've been to a few matches where some match director gets a GFI. He gets a good
Those
fucking
are-
idea, and he's like,
those
"Well,
are
let's just put hard
bullshit
cover all
targets.
across the top of that thing, so all you get's the bottom."
It's not
Right.
a bullshit target.
But that being said, obviously we know if you've got 5 exposed plates on a Texas Star, what is typically the most efficient or one of the most efficient ways of shooting it? You obviously top to bottom, you know. But then
I like how now you're sort of like hedging, even just saying you shoot a Texas Star top to bottom. You even have to hedge that now because I'm.
because you're crushing my soul here.
No, all I'm pointing out is that once you develop a preference, once you try to stick to a set of rules that are any more general, then try to be ready when you get there to shoot. And there's some
Right.
ways you can do that, right? But basically, be ready to shoot as soon as you can when you get to a spot.
I think there's a hierarchy you could go down, like...
Right, but once the more specific you get with this stuff, the tougher it gets. Then you start getting. I see people get kind of stuck into their way of thinking, and the sport's so diverse. Like the stages are always different. It's always changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Moving draws. Do you draw then move?
What's that?
Moving
Do I
draws.
draw?
Do you draw then move?
How
Or
far are we
try to
going?
try to get to gun. I mean,
I
that
don't
was
think it matters how far you're going. You want to
It sure as
beat
fuck
the gun.
does. If I'm
You wanna
going
get-
half a step, then I'm focused on the draw. If I'm running 20 yards, I'm focused on moving.
okay, but you're not going to move 10, 15 steps running 20 yards though with the gun still in the holster, right? You're still going to want to try to get the gun out of the holster and have it up, out, ready to go.
Just so
Yeah,
it won't
but
drop
if
out.
I'm
As soon as possible.
if I'm starting all the way downrange in a really narrow hallway,
Oh yeah, you're not gonna try
I
to blade
can't
some
safely if I
draw.
cannot safely draw the gun, then I would run and then draw. In that circumstance.
You're
Am I making you
impossible,
crazy
Tom.
yet?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
impossible. Okay,
So how
I'll,
about someone practice all this then? I think that's nice.
Yeah.
Shoot
All
a
right.
bunch of matches or what?
At that
You
point
can-
in time, it'd have to be lots of match.
no, you
Match
practice
experience.
this. You practice the stuff with your mindset, Matt. Where you're always you have your brain engaged. Instead of thinking I have it figured out, you're thinking. You're like I'm gonna be ready to adapt to the situation. Right. One concept I think is the most helpful. The most helpful concept I don't hear people talking about a lot when it comes to movement is so often people get into the thinking is every place where they're going to have their feet is going to be a position. Yeah? So if I'm shooting targets when my feet are in this spot, that's one position, and then some other spot where I'm going to have my feet, that's a different position. Which, I mean, it makes sense when I explain it that way. But a lot of times you'll have positions that are really close together, and they're so close together that it doesn't even really make sense to think of them as different positions. Like your gun would go from one target to the next target smoothly, staying up the whole time, shooting everything together, and maybe your feet move a little bit to expose some more targets, and some other targets that you were just shooting at, they kind of disappear, but you're shooting it all together. You're shooting it as one. Is this making sense, guys?
Yeah.
Because what you see people do a lot of times is they're shooting some stuff, they're rocking and rolling, and then they have to move like 2 steps. And you see them break everything down. They like pull the gun in, maybe take a hand off, and and then they look like they're going to go into a full sprint when really they're only moving like 2 steps. And then they put everything back together and they end up being really slow, even though in their brain it probably feels really fast. Usually, especially the guy asking this question, my feeling is he's of the level of shooter that I'd probably be hitting him hard in classes for wanting to being not able to combine positions, because so much of what you save in the sport is going smoothly from one target to the next, kind of regardless of what your feet are doing. You kind of separate the two, where maybe the next position is 5 steps away, but you can already see targets, and your gun's loaded. You're ready to go. So just get on with engaging the targets. Put your sights on them. Start shooting if the sight picture looks good. That would be a pretty general bit of advice I could give to the guy. What do you think about that, Tim?
I like that.
Really?
And that's one of those things too. It's hard to just acknowledge that, when you kind of think to yourself, you try to break things down into absolutes all the time, and absolutes, just as you're saying, there is no absolute.
Except for that one.
Yeah.
Yes,
I like that. I like that.
No, that would be a general thing. Like, I see that a lot. If I pick on anybody in a class, especially guys that are pretty good, like that's usually going to be that, where they're dropping the gun down just when they only have a couple steps to move, and it's like, no, these things, like in your brain, this is 2 positions, but it isn't really. Like you could think of it as 1 if that helps you. Come on, Matt, think of some other useful information.
I don't know. You shit on everything I said so far.
Come on, backdoor Matt.
I already talked about that 1 time per podcast.
We need your wisdom, Matt.
I don't know. Deal with the local hotshot. Follow him around. That's why he's doing it.
Oh my God, yes. So become insufferable. That's what you're saying.
Well, sure.
This podcast went south in a hurry. We're gonna need another question. Here's one that you're gonna love, Matt, because I know you didn't like it. All right, next question. Getting my grip better and stronger during dry fire is big on the list for the new year. I'm doing so. I'm getting blisters on my weak hand fingers and pulling my skin off the backs of my strong hand fingers. A doctor would say to stop the activity until the wounds heal, but we all know that isn't an option if improvement is to take place. Do we all know that? What the fuck are you talking about? The question for you is, what do you do to take care of your hands so the damage doesn't put you on the DL, but you still get your practice in?
What's a DL?
It's on the down low.
I thought down low too, but it didn't make sense in that. It didn't make sense in that sentence.
Disabled list, Matt.
Is that a baseball term?
I don't know.
I think it's just a sports
football
term.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
He'll be listed as questionable for the match.
Man, I fucked up my hands. I'm on the down low today.
Keep my shooting on the DL. Matt, what would you tell this guy to do?
Listen to doctor. He gets fucking paid for that.
That's where the doctor gets paid the big bucks. He goes in there's like, yeah, so I've been doing this training and my hands are all bleeding and shit, and the doctor be like, well, stop doing that.
Yeah, I mean, what else is he gonna say?
I don't know. I'm a little confused by exactly what the hell this guy's doing.
I don't understand how he gets blisters.
If he's getting blisters on his weak hand fingers and literally pulling the skin off the backs of his strong hand fingers.
Hey, he's not gripping like a chick, if that's what you're saying.
Well, I'm not. He's obviously not gripping like a chick, but Jesus, something is wrong there. That's I don't.
Well,
man,
maybe he's like a network engineer or something during the day.
I was gonna say, yeah. Does he like not do anything with his hands other than, hey, I'm gonna take up this manly sport of shooting a gun, and I'm gonna have to build some calluses up on my hands.
It's not that manly. I mean, I can do it. I would say stop for now, let it heal a little, and then build up your tolerance. So you're gonna get calloused up in not too long.
Well, you're gonna get calloused up only if you let the blisters heal.
Right, so he's going to have to let it heal and then get back into it, but slow. Do like a little bit every day, and then a little bit more, and then you'll get calloused up, you'll get these rough hands, and you shouldn't have to worry about it anymore. But for now, If I have like blood blisters on my hands, I'm gonna stop doing what I'm doing. I'm pretty hard-headed. I'm pretty stupid, but even I would just, give it a rest at that point.
After a while, that shit hurts.
When we get to blood blister territory,
It's like-
we're past the hurting phase.
Right.
It's like a negative thing also. How can you train like that?
You can't, not effectively.
Yeah. That's what I,
It's like if somebody wanted to call me a pussy for not shooting when it's 20 degrees outside. It's like you go shoot when it's 20 degrees outside, and you tell me how productive that is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I can go physically shoot, but A, it's not fun, and B, it's not productive.
Well, I'm just also curious, like, what is this guy shooting? If things are moving in his hands enough that he's literally gripping his
He may
hands.
just be dry firing.
Is he
Dry
shooting
firing a 22
fucking
foot.
Desert Eagle 50 caliber or something? I mean, good God, man. It could be dry firing. I don't know.
Maybe if you use...
I dry fire a lot, and I don't think I've ever pulled the skin off the backs of my hands before.
Well, let that be a lesson to you, Tim Herron. Grip your gun harder.
Nick uses a ton of baby powder to give him some slip in there. Maybe this guy needs to have something like that.
Some baby powder?
Like, it seems like he's not getting any movement in his hands, and that's why he's getting the blisters, maybe? Maybe he needs some slip on the hands, like so they freely move across each other. I don't know.
I don't think that's really the best for working on having a firm grip.
It's called moderation. You don't dump the whole thing on your hands.
I don't know.
Maybe
Like,
just
are we
program a
talking?
little baby powder? you know?
Are we dipping them in Crisco, or what are we doing here?
No, obviously not. Nick uses like pro grip and baby powder, so there's some combination there.
Jesus.
It can hit Yanatola up.
Does he walk around with his hands like fully white?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Essentially, yeah.
yeah, totally. Like,
I mean, why not?
I know another shooter that's like that too. That's always got like uber chalky white hands all the time.
Yeah, pro grip to beat hell, man.
I've never seen your hands as white as like Alex Goods. Alex's hands
that's
are
because
like
the stuff he uses, though.
crazy
He
white.
works indoors though too. Like he's a little bit pastier. Just in complexion.
Poor guy.
What? Just being real, man. Oh, Jesus. That's the way of the world.
So yeah, this yeah. Let your hands
So-
heal, dude. This
We all agree that this guy should stop doing what he's doing.
yeah.
And
This
listen
is
to
like
the doctor.
this is like some guys like, yeah, I'm training to be a sprinter. I broke my leg, but obviously I'm gonna have to keep training for sprinting.
Exactly.
I was going to use the example of a swimmer breaking his arm, but same.
I
same thing
think
was-
mine was more pointed.
yeah, you got the point across better.
See, Matt, why are we here?
So I can teach people to walk through the stage correctly. That means not
What's
going back
podcast?
through this.
What's the podcast?
Huh?
You guys are here to be likable,
Well,
right?
yeah.
You didn't let me finish.
We all know about your mission in life.
It's my 2016 mission.
Oh man, I shudder to think what happens in 2017.
Yeah, we never know.
I'm gonna become an asshole.
No, you're not.
Damn it.
All right. Well, this podcast has pretty much run its course. Thank you, Matt, for coming on.
You're welcome.
Grumpy Matt. Happy Tim, thank you for
Yes.
being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for. If you guys have any shooting questions you want to hear the answer to, go to bensteger.com, send me your question. Love to answer it. At least I would. These other dicks probably wouldn't.
Oh.
Whatever.
What? No, they think I was the only guy like actively shitting on the person asking the question.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
weren't.
shit on people. That's
I don't usually, but
that's not my MO.
I don't know. I just felt like it that time.